Today we'll be doing a video I started a series on about over a year ago now. This series was actually one of the things to fully kickstart my channel into mild popularity, with the first video hitting 10k views within a few weeks. That's right, I'm referring to, well, you can see in the title and thumbnail, professional players D&D alignments. I'd wanted to do this part of the series for a while, but of course I had new ideas at the time that I wanted to take on, so overall it led me to cutting the series off for apparently over a year. But if you do enjoy this video, let me know by hitting that like and subscribe button down below. Maybe I can do something quite similar to this concept in the future. If anyone has any ideas, leave them in the comments below. I also have a BLUELOCK Discord in which you can join with the link down below. All of the professional players I have not yet covered include the Masters, the World 5 players, and I also didn't cover the likes of Sae Itoshi, Ego Jinpachi, and most notable of all, Moon. So I'll be doing them all today. I'll be going off the literal definitions of these alignments and the sheet in which you can definitely recognize if you're an older fan. And we are going to start with one of the World 5 players, Leonardo Luna. As we all know about the Spanish pro player, he is more of a cocky individual who could be seen teasing the likes of Ren for his desperate attempts at not losing against them in the World 5 match. Considering he's very much likely the reason why Sae gave up his dreams of becoming the world's best striker, either from Sae being devastated by the skill gap or Luna personally crushing Sae's motivations, as he saw value in Sae a lot as a midfielder and could see the immense amount of potential within him to be one, and it's safe to say Sae is acting like Luna's ticket to the top, much like Charles is to Loki regarding surpassing Noel Noa's status as world's best player. Even if Luna had a recent moment to show some genuine consideration for Chigiri, that doesn't change his motives, as the World 5 matches don't mean much to him outside of getting a paycheck, and he's just showing basic human compassion to Chigiri for getting injured. Luna to me is who I believe BLUELOCK will face maybe as a villain before facing the final challenge of sorts, especially if Sae wants to revive his original ego by possibly he himself returning to zero. Of course this refers to the theory of Sae Itoshi returning to Japan to play for the World Cup. This overall leads me to think that Luna is definitely in the neutral category, and from here it can be argued whether he goes in true neutral or neutral evil, but I picked the latter due to seemingly manipulating Sae for his own benefit and won't hesitate to commit further in order to accomplish his one eventual goal of becoming the world's best striker. Also, Luna's self-admitted own ego is stated to be twisting my heart, which in itself is very ominous. Moving on to another World 5 player, we have Adam Blake, with his motive being as simplistic as women. We can foresee him as quite the womanizer, which I am not too sure how to feel about, but what would his alignment be based off the personality he has displayed? Well, to me, Adam Blake is oddly a chaotic neutral individual, considering he doesn't particularly show any overwhelmingly good or bad qualities, implied or not. You can tell he's really just shooting for his aims, and with that will come striving for his own sense of freedom. They couldn't care less for conflict and control, because as long as they have their freedom to chase their aspirations, they will choose to play football for that reason and tend not to think about anything on a deeper level, which correlates to the egos of the likes of two other World 5 players, those being both Pablo and Silva, as they are also stated within the latest episode Nagi manga chapter that their goals are extremely surface level for their own interests, and if they have the freedom to do so, they will stay on their paths even if it seems unflavoured. But I will say Pablo to me leans a bit more closer to true neutral for being a much more approachable and innocent individual, while Silva leans closer to chaotic evil, as the common phrase spoken, money is the root of all evil, can be heard. Not to say Silva is a bad person, but anyone with an overwhelmingly massive money motive, and especially it being his own portrayal of the word ego, can be seen as quite the red flag. But Silva is nowhere close to the level of greed compared to one former professional player in this video, reintroducing to the stage Moon. It's been a while since most people have talked about this particular character alongside Snuffy's backstory, but allow me to share some details. From the panels that we got of Moon and Snuffy's history, we know that they were an insanely dominant duo, the likes of which the world had never seen before, which led to both their immense rise in the player rankings, which got them both a World Cup and Premier League trophy, and their disastrous fall as they began to overlook what had made them so successful, which was the dedication towards their football. So when other positive aspects came fluttering in to take away their attention, their eyes came off the ball quite literally. They both got into a mix of bad performances and scandals, and while Snuffy wanted to recover from this and take a safer route, Moon chose the alternative, a much more self-absorbed route of being satisfied, too satisfied even compared to the likes of Nagi, who we know is a victim of this recently. But the difference is, he was coping that with this lifestyle he lived, he could still dream of winning the remaining 4 out of 5 major European leagues, when in fact this lifestyle was overall worsening both their performances. Through these bad decisions and bad habits, this led to the young death of Mick Moon, one of Italy's top players, by overdose. And within his final moments, he definitely displayed the traits of a chaotic evil character. Of course, the havoc in which he caused was a lot more self-destructive, but it did have an effect on the morale of Snuffy. Mick chose to live a life so free that it cost him his career, his friend, and most importantly, his life. But onto a less heavy subject matter. What's bigger, the state of Texas or Snuffy's nose? I'll give you a hint. It's where a concealed weapon could be kept. That's right, it's Snuffy's nose, because Texas likes to show off their guns to everyone. It's not a matter of could, it's a matter of will. Anyway, with Snuffy, I believe with his more selfish goal in mind, carrying on the same dream of his friend, which in a sense was both his former and after Boris' challenge, now once again his current dream, he has become a more selfless person, extremely respected in his teachings and known as one of the best players in the world overall. To me, it makes him a neutral good character. Recognizing unjust laws and being open to bend the laws is what neutral good characters are all about, and what Snuffy has done for his team in the time of the NEL, showing with Burū, he acknowledges his influence that sort of goes against Burū's comfortability, so he allows himself to backtrack and allow Burū to take the mantle on what he wants to do to advance going forward. He's also definitely an honestly good person by taking in Don Lorenzo off the street and changing what seemed to be a hopeless person to give them a chance at a career. And since then, he's been endlessly caring and a mentor figure for all of the Uber's 20 and under players. Next character I'll speak on is Lavinoh. To me, you can't deny his sense of impulsiveness and rambunctiousness, in which can only be described in a chaotic sense. So realistically, why wouldn't he be chaotic neutral? Because for a dribbler, having a sense of freedom is especially important alongside how he wanted to do things, especially for himself. He looks to shine and claims to be the star of the field. So with that, I believe he's a good fit for the chaotic neutral slot, along with these other players we already have here. Following him, we have Chris Prince, who is one of the more favoured master strikers for his amazing training regimens and values, but his playstyle actually changes from selflessly embracive of his team to completely illogical depending on if he's facing Noel Noa or not. That bit of inconsistency makes it hard to judge him for sure, but I would place him in between chaotic good and neutral good for the sake of compensating for both of his attitudes depending on the opponents he's facing, and also he is quite the team supporter, always looking out for their ideals to build their future of football. Moving on, we have another former pro player being Ego Jinpachi. Previous rival of Noel Noa and creator of BLUELOCK, this madman managed to take the world by storm with his project and training methods when everyone had seemed to forgotten about his presence. There are two main factors of football in which he holds complete disdain for: altruism and financial greed, dismissing both of these aspects on multiple occasions as he isn't interested in the business side of football, nor does he believe a striker should ever put his team above himself. You may think that Ego is a character that exudes complete and utter chaotic nature if that is the case, but that is not the case. Ego has his own code and a lot of what he does is more selfless even when presented as selfish. There's no man in BLUELOCK as cunning but fair as Ego, and to me he's the embodiment of a true neutral character, as someone who would do whatever he needs to do in order to accomplish his goals. Whether that's ending the careers of 299 strikers for one solitary hero to rise, or challenging the boards of the Japan Football Union in order to keep his plans intact. He is not chaotic because what he's doing isn't morally right, fun, or psychotic. It's simply a necessity of doing what he wants to put Japan in contention with the other country's football standards. So what about his former rival Noel Noa? Noa of course is known as the world's best striker and proceeds with his own standard of both code and logic. Even if he bullies his admirers into the ground with his own selfishness, he is still one of the most rational thinkers we have in the series who goes off the numbers. At least that's what I would be saying if Isagi wasn't picked to come on after Kunigami was subbed off in BLUELOCK's first match of the NEL, because as stated, Isagi was below the numbers of the likes of Yukimiya, but due to a contractual obligation, Noah was inclined to provide Isagi a chance, which did pay off, but ongoing, Noah did show some blatant favoritism to Isagi in order to purposely grow Kaiser to be his rival to get himself stronger. I do jot Noah down as lawful evil, following his own codes and logic where he can twist rules in his favour, which he attempted to do with Ego, but as we saw, it did not turn out favourably for him as Ego used all of the masters as pawns for his BLUELOCKers to evolve. Get fucked, fan hater. The last Master Striker and World 5 player for this video to discuss is Loki. Now we all know that he is polite, especially amongst the World 5, but during the NEL, his true personality was expressed, being totally enraged by Isagi's comments and immature towards how he handled it as he tried to make Noel Noa sort out his attitude off the pitch. Basically, Loki is a giant gaping pussy. So what does a giant gaping pussy translate to on the D&D alignment sheets? Well, anything really, but to me Loki is a a true neutral character that leans to lawful neutral, as his ability to do as he pleases is immense, being the top rising star of the U20 players, but presenting himself to follow the ruling of football as written, as someone less experienced, young, and looking to get his win over Noel Noa eventually. Lastly, on this pro player alignments video, we have Sae Itoshi. He is a cold person even to the likes of his brother, seemingly demotivated at heart when returning to Japan to stay his change of dream. He is one of the best midfielders we know, and is disappointed in his home country's second-rate football. But things, as we know, are turning around due to BLUELOCK, and admittedly, Sae was interested in Isagi, saying how he was going to be the future of Japan football, somewhat based off of Isagi's ass. Okay. I believe Sae was forced to change his dream of becoming the world's best striker by realizing that he is a talented learner that cannot compete with the geniuses, even when having such immense potential that Luna deeply respects. And like I said, I think Luna had a hand of ensuring that Sae would be a midfielder, with Sae begrudgingly obliging no matter how he felt. He then had passed off his belief to his brother, saying how he could still have their dream together, but Rin wanted Sae to become the #1 striker, and when Sae knew that could not be possible if he wanted to maintain a football career, he lashed out in his own way. To me, Sae is definitely lawful neutral as someone who will follow the words of his superiors willingly, even as a player who has high potential and could possibly be better than some of the professionals that we know and likely more pros that we see in the future. And with that, this is the final chart of my alignments for every professional player that I have not yet covered. I hope you all enjoyed this video, and hopefully my takes aren't too crazy to agree with, but if you do have different opinions, feel free for you to do it yourself, either by posting it on my Discord or maybe making a video on your own channel. Thank you all so much for watching this video, be sure to like and subscribe, and until next time, peace.